Now let's create a histogram. For this we will go to statplot. So let's press second function and statplot. Now I have some plots on and some plots off, so let me just turn everything off by selecting the number 4 and hitting enter, and then I'm going to clear everything again. So let's go back to statplot. Whoops, let's clear this first. Alright, let's go back to statplot and let's select the first one, number 1. So while you're in number 1, you can either press number 1 or hit enter. And this is currently off right now, and the blinking cursor is on, so I'll hit enter and that'll turn that on. Arrow down and then arrow to the right a couple times till you see this histogram. Hit enter. And then the X list is in L1 and the frequency is going to be 1. So our histogram is set up. Let's second function and quit out of here. But we want to adjust the window, so let's get the window going. Now if you look at the ages, it looks like the ages go from 22. There's a 45, there's one in the 60s, there's one in the 80s. So we can start this with a minimum of 20, say, and then the maximum, it looks like it's 80 here, so I'm going to go all the way up to 90. And then the scale is really one of the most important parts here. That's going to adjust the width of your histogram bins. So let's take that at 10. So each bin will have a width of 10. So this is going to go from 20 to 29 and then 30 to 39, etc. until we get to 90. The Y min should be either 0 or something that's a little bit less than 0. And the negative symbol for the TI-83 is this one next to the decimal point. So I'm going to go a little bit negative. Let's go negative 0.5. And the maximum, it's almost a guess at this point. Let's say the maximum is going to be whatever you think the highest bar in the histogram is going to be. So I'm going to guess right now that it might be 10, and if it's not, we'll make that adjustment later on. The X scale, since we're counting, it should be just 1, because that'll help us count. The X res and the other stuff won't be important. So this is our window setup. Let's graph it. So I can see that having a Y height of 7 or 10 that we had wasn't good enough. So I'm going to hit trace, and I got my P1 L1 selected. So it looks like between 20 and 30 I have n is equal to 23. So I'm going to right arrow, and I have 28, right arrow, and I have 12, right arrow, and my next bin is 2. So it looks like I would be interested in having a Y value of going all the way up to 28. So let's overshoot that and just go up to 30. So let's go back to window and select our Y max to be 30. And since now this thing goes all the way up to 30, I might want to adjust my scale, my Y scale. This is the way I would count, and maybe count by 5s. Alright, now let's hit graph again. Now this is a histogram that's easier to read, or see at least the tops. And I will hit trace again. And now I'm blinking over here that says my n value of 23, my n value of 28, and I have between 40 and 49 I have 12. Between 50 and 59 I have 2, etc. So that is your histogram. Let us now create a box plot, and let's clear this again, and let's go to second function and stat plot. And again, I like to clear, or I like to turn all the plots off, so I'm going to turn the plots off again, and then start over, go back to stat plot. This time I'll check on number 2, and then I'll turn that one on. So let's go down to the type of plot. The type of plot that we want is a box plot. Now you can't arrow down here, you have to go left and right while you're selecting the type. And the box plot that we want is the second one down in the second row. So let's select that. And let's go down to the list, and we're still going to use L1 for our list, and then the frequency is going to be 1. Alright, second function and quit out of there. And then let's have it graph. It might be good to notice that we're going to go from about 20s in the 20s all the way up in the 80s. So again, you want to adjust your window accordingly. So let's look at the window. And from last time, this went from 20 to 90, so it looks like that'll cover everything that we need. So we'll stick with that, and let's just hit graph. So this is our box plot, and if we trace this box plot, let's hit trace. Notice that this is P2 now because I selected plot 2, and this is acting on the list L1. If I arrow to the left, I'm going to find my minimum. My minimum is actually 21. My Q1 is 29. My median is 34. My Q3 is 41. And then my maximum is 80. So this is your box plot. For some reason, if you're interested in putting both the histogram and the box plot together in a plot, you can do that as well. So let's press second function and stat plot. And the reason why I chose to do the box plot on the plot 2 is because I want to save plot 1. And let's just go to plot 1 and turn that one on, blinking. And then now let's graph it again so I can see both my histogram and my box plot. As you can see, it gets a little confusing. Maybe we want to adjust our histogram a little bit by compressing it down. So let's keep the, actually if we want to move our X min to 10, we'll keep the X max at 90, and we'll compress this down a little bit so that my Y min is -1, and then instead of going to 30, maybe let's go all the way up to 40. So we'll see a slightly smaller looking histogram. Let's plot it so that this is a little bit clearer, and we can see the starting point. We got the margin over here. These tick marks, remember, were 5, and our values range from 10 now all the way up to 90. So the hard part is that you can't really see this unless you trace it. So if you hit trace, P1, if you remember, is the histogram, and now since I included 10, going from 10 to 20, I have 0 values there. And if I right arrow, then my 20 to 30 starts at 23, and then 28, etc. And you can go down over here so that if I'm looking at the range from 70 to 80, I know that I have 1, although it looks really small that I can't see it. Now if I want to trace my box plot, I can either up arrow or down arrow. And then the thing to look at is the upper right hand of your screen. So P2 is my box plot, P1 is my histogram. So if I want to trace my box plot, I would want P2 here, and then this gives me the min x, and then the Q1, the median, the Q3, etc. The 5-number summary for the box plot. Alright, so that's just another view, and in this particular screen we have both the histogram and the box plot.